Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to the Super Eagles Watch podcast powered by Hotspots, the official media partners of our darling Super Eagles of Nigeria. My name is Victor Godfrey, and we do have a packed episode for you today. Before I get into all that, let me remind you of something that's really important. Remember, we are on social media, that is X, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Please follow us on all these our social media pages, but most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, it's really important. A small click for you goes a long way for us to showcase your true love and support for the green and white and, of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now, to the business of the day. Victor Godfrey is the name, and I do have with me, he doesn't say he's a legend, he will disagree, but he is a living legend in my opinion. Let me just give you a quick roll call of his achievements and of course his office and his position right now. He is the CEO of Global Media. He is a senior sports journalist in Nigeria. He is one of the best, as a matter of fact. I watched him as a young kid growing up. Also, he is the director of sports for MFM and also the chairman of one of Africa's most flamboyant football clubs that has to do with being the best in terms of fan engagement, talking about Sporting Lagos. But last but not the least, he is the secretary to the Npfl Club Owners Association of Nigeria. Who am I talking about? The one and only Godwin Enakhena. Sir, it is good to have you here on our podcast. Now, I'll call you living legend whether you like it or not, sir. That's your new moniker for me.
Thank you. This is home for me. It's good to be here.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. I'm really humbled by that. This goes a long way. It's a fantastic sign of approval. Now, sir, we do have a situation with our national team. Obviously, as much as you've been in the game for so long, you've seen it all. You've been there. You've done everything. At your core, you're a football fan. You're a fan of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So even if you remove all those analysis, you're just watching it as a fan that loves the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We've seen recently the announcement of one of our brightest exports in the game, talking about Finidi George, well-accomplished football player in his day. Also with Eyimba, a coach of one of Nigeria's most successful football clubs as well. And now he is in the helm of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and he has that task of qualifying us to the World Cup, or even more so, taking us to the next level. What are your initial thoughts on Finidi George being a new manager of the Super Eagles?
Well, I want to start by saying congratulations to Finidi. He deserves it. Someone second in command who is now in charge. He understands his team in total. And I like his confidence. He said a few days ago that Nigeria will go to the World Cup in the Americas. I mean, that's how to start. But I don't envy him. This is one equivalent to us. Every Nigerian has more than the head knowledge when it comes to talking football. So that's where I have my problem. But get the job done. Those who were mocking you become your friends. And I think he can do it.
You think he can do it? You're that confident?
Yes, I'm very confident he can do it. Same players. He's been with this team for us. If that's the only reason he was given this job, I say yes to it. I mean, he's been part of this team about 9 months or more, being behind Jose Pesero, and he was involved very much. First assistant coach, not just one of the coaches, as it were. For a man who has played at all levels of football, played everywhere, scored beautiful goals, is coached, is the defending champion of the league in Nigeria.
Yes, the Npfl.
Eyimba, the biggest, it's not one of the biggest, it's the biggest club side in Nigeria. And of course, as far as Africa is concerned, now he's on the verge of doing it again. He's among the top 3. We've got how many games to go? We've got about 6 more games to end the season. So why not? If it's not Finidi,
he's just behind. He's just behind the Rangers right now. I think.
If not for the 2 points docked,
yes,
they would have just been a point or 2 behind Enugu Rangers. But when the people's elephants are behind you, then you better watch it.
Well, sir, as a sports administrator, like I said, you've been there, you've done it all. You were there when the said Eyimba conquered Africa twice, in talking about the CAF Champions League. But now the question now is personnel. We've seen in the past where Nigerian-based players have played an important role in our greatest moments. In the 80s, 1980, when we won it for the first time, I mean, we literally had everybody playing then in the National League, or in the Nigerian League, I should say. In 94, we also had a few players as well. Most recently, in 2013, we had the unsung heroes who were, the likes of Sunday Mba, who came through and nobody knew who they were, and they just, gave us a fantastic performance. And we are seeing that now. One of the best goalkeepers we had at the last Nations Cup, Stanley Nwabali, cut his teeth also here in the league. Now the question now is in terms of the players, the quota to be called up for the Super Eagles. what should that be? Because you are a sports administrator, you work closely with the Nigerian Football Federation, Nigerian Professional Football League. You're also the chairman of Sporting Lagos, who also has, like I say, one of the best fan engagement I've ever seen in my life as a football fan, especially in my generation.
Thank you for that.
It's the truth, sir. So now, before we even go to that quota question, let's talk about what has been before now. Talks of Kenneth Raw talking about the time it takes for, or the fact that the league at the time had so much trouble kickstarting off on, backward, forward, whatever. We're not really sure what we're doing. Pesero also having his own excuses. You just touch on that a bit before we talk about the quota of what Nigerian players should be, mandatory, should be in the national team.
Well, I've never been an advocate of players playing in the domestic league must be in the national team. I've never been.
Why is that?
If you've been an administrator, you know what it means to give a man a job. Let him make the calls, as it were. You've given him a responsibility. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. As long as you are a Nigerian, and as long as you are what it takes to make the national team, you are called up by the coach at that moment. You are good enough. You don't have to be playing in the league or what have you. That's always been my position. And if you made the mistake of telling the coaches who they should pick or whatever, you're giving them excuses. Giving them room to make excuses. Tell the man, get this job done. But my problem has always been that we don't seem to have the best at all times. I don't see Nigeria going to the Nations Cup and you bring every Tom, Dick, and Harry from all over the world, and 20-30% of these players don't get to play at all. Filling the quota that you should have given the home-based players to have that experience at that big stage. Again, at the World Cup, there was money due clubs that have their players at the World Cup. So why do you go with players who are not good enough? And you and I know, you can see the team and you say, okay, with our experience, these players are not good enough. That's what it is. But hey, if I am the NFF, I will not tell whoever the coach is, you must pick players from the league. I will say, pick the best players at all times that will make you deliver. If you don't deliver, that's where I have a problem.
But how would we develop our league, sir, if we don't have, like you mentioned, exposure is very important. I'll take you back to about 22 years ago. So Vincent Inyama was then with Eimba of Aba. And to be honest, with the lineup of goalkeepers we had at the time, he was the only home-based. As a matter of fact, he was even third in the pecking order. You had the Keshirumo, you had the GD, then you had Vincent. But he came forward the last game against England, had a fantastic performance, a great save against Paul Scholes. And that put him on the limelight and then again led to him being one of our greatest goalkeepers of all time.
Let me correct you. You don't expose your best legs in the league using the national team. No. I mean, the average Nigerian player, he plays on a Sunday. Chances are that the next day is on the next plane outside of Nigeria. So if you get that domestic player in that national team, one game, he doesn't even need to play. He's gone. So I would rather say, can we develop our league to get to that level that everyone wants to see your league and believe that you've got quality materials that can help their leagues? That's what we should focus on, not about allowing how many of them can get into the national team? We don't need that. The league is not what it's supposed to be. I do agree that we're not where we used to be, but certainly the journey is very, very far. Let us have a league that you and I will be proud of. Then we can't be talking about the national team and exposure.
Now, talking about a league that we can be proud of, reports suggest that disciplinary actions have been taken on certain clubs, and there has been threats to boycotts. What are your thoughts on this? Because, like you said, if we don't have a league that is full of integrity and we can be proud of, like you mentioned, it's not even by picking one raw talent and say, yeah, play for the Super Eagles. Let's see you play in the league for like 2-3 seasons first. Home league. So what are your thoughts on having a very well-structured league and maybe certain individuals not too happy about that and threatening to boycott the league?
I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. I'm not just the General Secretary of the Club Owners Association. I'm also the spokesperson of the Nigerian Premier Football League, as it were. Also a member of the NFF Media Committee. So I know a lot. First and foremost, when Eimba Football Club won the Champions League back-to-back, they didn't have 7 matches outstanding. March 2, 3. And they play those matches. Once they come back, they play. For Rivers United, they didn't want to play. It was as simple as that. If we allow the league to continue, and let's say we're in match day 34, 4 games to go, you already knew teams that are going down and those that are most likely going to play on the continent. So what does it mean? The league will be compromised. That was what the Npfl said. We all agreed that that was what it was going to be. Then, Rivers United had a game against Bayelsa United in Yenagoa on a Monday. That game was scheduled for the weekend. It had to be moved to Monday. Monday, it rained, so that game couldn't be played. So next day, 8 a.m., Nigeria will play games at 8 a.m. So 8 to 10 a.m., the game was all over. It had a Federation Cup game in Aba against an NLO team, non-league side. Yeah. For God's sake, there's no team in Nigeria who has anything less than 35, 40 players.
True.
The second team of Rivers United could have gone to Aba to play that team,
yes.
While you go to Ikene to play your standing game. It's a Tuesday. Before the game, Rivers United had written the NFF saying that, sorry, can you move the game, the Federation Cup game, scheduled for Thursday to Friday? And the Federation said, okay, fine. They did. Remember, the NFF runs the Federation Cup, not the Npfl.
True.
When the Npfl got to know, a letter had been given to Rivers United to move their game against Ikukuma, the lower division team. So the Npfl said, no, these people have a game to play on Sunday. We don't have a problem. As long as there's no excuse. If they play that game on Friday, they should leave for Ikene on Saturday and they must play that game on Sunday. That was where the story started. We're pulling out of the league. The NFL does not like Rivers. The Npfl does not like Rivers. And they stood their ground. I mean, the league and, of course, the NFL saying, well, you can move it to Monday, but you pay the broadcast right owners the cost of buying satellite space. That was the argument back and forth. But again, that's history now. The Rivers had to do what they had to do to play the game against Remo Stars.
Just a quick follow-up on that, because like we mentioned, the reality of the matter is when we see this, especially in the English Premier League, which more or less is the most popular football football league in the world, where they have the FFP and sustainability and financial fair play rules, and they are fining clubs left and center, deducting points. Yes, there are appeals, but we've seen that strong line of discipline whereby 4 points is off. You can appeal all you want, but that's our ruling. Don't you think we should have a stronger stance? Because I don't want to say corruption or leniency has cost us so much and made us lose so much integrity in terms of our football structure in Nigeria. So to prevent this from happening, because like you mentioned, Aimba, as big as she is, can decide and say, you know what, I mean, if Rivers can pull you guys through the dirt, we can do even worse. How do we prevent this from happening?
Let me say something. I mean, it was supposed to be a discussion on the inside, but for the benefit of a lot of people, I just have to say this. In Abuja a few days ago, it was agreed that going forward next season, before the season will kickstart, all the 20 club sides will sit down around the table and we all agree that we're going to look at the calendar. The FA Cup has to start when it's supposed to start.
That's the Federation Cup.
The Federation Cup, yes. The league has to start when it's supposed to start. And we also factor continental engagements because we know before now that this is when CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation games are going to start. So that solution has been found, just waiting for the season to end. Okay. On the issue of being punitive or being lenient, see, Rivers United, the NFF, the Npfl found themselves in a quagmire. How? Rivers United was the only team flying the flag of Nigeria on the continent.
Well, I mean,
the only team that could salvage the 4 slots that we had. We were on the verge of losing 2 out of the 4. So whatever they asked, okay, let's support them. Let's support them. It is supporting and supporting that took us to see 7 games outstanding. But from what we discussed at the meeting a few days ago in Abuja, this will be the last time that will happen.
Well, hopefully that's the case and football can grow, because from there we can have the best talents to represent the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Of course, Finidi George. I know you mentioned that you have so much faith in him. But the question now, as a sports administrator and a man like you've mentioned, you know how it is to give someone a job, a manager a job. Let's say you're putting yourself in that position whereby you've given Finidi George the job. What are the elements and the indications you see in him that be like, okay, this man can actually do the job? Because it's not just about the legacy he has in the past. As a football player, exceptional. Played with the best players in the world, won the Champions League and all that whole stuff. But how can he replicate that with the Super Eagles? And at least our football should maybe change, because like you mentioned, At the Nations Cup, we played like a very defensive. We played like Italy, very defensive team, hitting people on the counter attack. How can we change that style of play football and go back to the old school Nigerian flair of attacking football?
Well, one of the best wingers we ever had. We cloned George Finidi or Finidi George.
He's the model winger, actually. He made number 7 prominent before Ronaldo came.
But do we have that number 7 now?
Yes, we do.
Can you give me one name? I didn't say
as a winger?
Yeah.
We have
Finidi.
Is it in terms of build or ability?
I just said clone.
Okay, no, we don't have anybody in that build that is that big, but we have ability. Like Ademola Lookman can, be a good winger on his day.
Ademola wants to score.
Moses Simon?
Moses Simon he runs and runs and runs. But bottom line is, in coaching, nothing is cast in stone.
True.
You can't find a coach that will tell you, I'm going to win this trophy, unless a multi,
But Pesero said he was going for our 4th title, and he got to the final. So that's.
I just said unless a multi coach.
Okay. Wow. No, shots fired.
Yeah. But again, it's good to come with that kind of. That's one of the reasons when I said I don't think Pesero is the kind of coach that we wanted in Nigeria. But the moment he said, I am going for I will win it. He didn't say I will try. He said I will win it. Just oppose that with what General said to us, that his mandate is to get to the semi-final. For me, I fell in love with him, Pesero. Even though I knew he can't. You only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. True. So, like I said, Finidi has walked this road many times. He's been with his team. He has the winning mentality with Eyimba. He's a coach that coaches week in, week out. He's not an idle coach. He's not an assistant coach at Eyimba. He's a man that calls the shot. He commands the respect. I mean, what do you want to tell Finidi? You want to, we've seen Eyimba play. They play good football.
Yes, they did.
That's it. But, hey, the national team is not club side, where you have the luxury of coaching the team week in, week out. Can we put this team together? Can we do this? We have less than a month to play South Africa. Are we going to judge Finidi with this game against South Africa? If he doesn't do well? Again, if he doesn't do well, the Nigerian football fan is not a patient fan. We're not patient. And I always say that the Nigerian fan is one of the biggest challenges we have. True. There's no process. We want to, start building the house today, sleep in that house tomorrow, and whatever. Can we give Finidi George time? Will the NFF give him time? If the NFF gives him time and is floundering, of course, they're going to come after the NFF. Nigerians are going to say this. Even the Minister of Sport wants to be known as one that the Super Eagles qualified for the World Cup, when he was the Minister of Sport, as it were. So if we learn to give our coaches opportunities to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, giving them time. I've said in Nigeria, for one of the biggest problems we have in club football is that the governor appoints a club chairman on a Monday, he tells him win the league on Tuesday. You can't tell the governor, please give me 4 years. He will tell you, get out of this place. And he brings someone who says, sir, I will win the league on Tuesday.
True.
So it is the same thing with the national team. Winning is in our mentality. Unfortunately, we don't want to walk the talk. We just want to make it happen. So for Finidi, I don't envy him, but I see him as one who can deliver.
Okay, well, let's talk about your day job now. Let me use that term. You are the chairman, of course, of one of Nigeria's biggest football clubs, especially from Lagos in terms of the social media engagements. I've been to a few of your games, and I have to be honest, I'm like, this is almost what you see if you go to the FA Cup in Wembley. It's just remarkable atmosphere and energy. So we've seen in Nigeria before, whereby a team wins the league on their maiden edition in the Npfl. I think it was Ocean Boys. Remarkably, I remember as a young kid then seeing that, I was like, that is remarkable. You started the season very well. It was a very bright start for Sporting Lagos, but so far so good. It seemed to have measured out in a certain way. The challenges, the ups and downs. How has that experience been like, being the chairman of a football club in the maiden season, maiden appearance in the Npfl? What's that whole experience like? Do you lose sleep at night? Do you have enough sleep? Do you have time for your family? What's that like?
Wow. I said to some persons a few days ago that the game against Abia Warriors was the most emotional game I've ever been part of as an administrator. Someone say, how about Ifeanyuba? Ifeanyuba was traumatic, for me. It was the most difficult. Abia Warriors, the most emotional. Why was it emotional? We found out that we needed to make that change. Well, as an administrator, as a human being, I've learned that there's never a wrong time to take the right decision. Yeah.
That's a deep one. There's never a wrong time to take the right decision.
Just take that decision. You swim and sink with that decision. So we're playing our Warriors, and Abdullah before had just taken over. That was going to be his first home game. Then I started hearing the stories, started hearing people when I was coming to the stadium that, man, no chairman. That means they will beat chairman. If this coach, if we lose this game, he sacked the other coach. Why did he sack him? They were doing, those talks. I got very emotional about it because they were making it look as if decision was mine. It wasn't my decision.
It's collective.
It was a management decision, as it were, that we needed a change. And the game started 2-0. We're running away like a house on fire. I was delighted. Came back second half, 2-1, became 2-2. And I looked at the fans. I was like, wow.
What's going on here?
Where did I park my car? How do I get out of this place? So many things running through my head.
True.
We won the game 4-2 at the end of the day against Abia Warriors. And I went back home. I was soaked. You could feel that pressure, in me. But again, I haven't gone through that before. I understand that your first time out cannot be the best. It's topsy-turvy. Did we do the right things in terms of recruitment? No. Yeah, the thinking of the management was that we need younger players. We need, not younger, young players. But young players can win you games.
And also can be a disaster with inexperience.
Young players can win you games. Experience wins you trophies. So the Nigerian game is that's what they say, bring Messi to the Premier League. He won't do what he did at Barcelona and what have you. So it's a difficult terrain. The lessons, I didn't get involved as much as I would have loved to get involved. If I had taken the bull by the horns, maybe I would have said, hey, no, I need experience. 60% experience, then 40%
youth.
Youth, because we need the youth as it were. But we had a football philosophy that we wanted to play. Number two, we also have an ideology of this is where we want to go as it were. Hey, not the best of seasons. But I'm delighted with the owners. It's not about winning for them. They've got a long-term project. And they're ready to see that out in the next 5 or 6 years. True. So it's not a win at all costs for them. They love victories, but they will not break the bank to get those victories or do whatever.
Whatever it takes. Let's leave it at that. Okay, that's interesting. So all in all, it has been a rewarding experience for you so far as the chairman of Sporting Lagos. Very
rewarding that... I saw something on social media and, I laughed. Yeah. When we gained promotion, Sporting Lagos gained promotion to the Premier League, I read somewhere it said, no, from the NL to the Premier League this time. And I read where they said, if you need promotion, look for Godwin Enakhena. Oh. I just smile and okay, he's done it before, and what those things come. But what it takes from you as a human being is it's not easy to be a club chairman in Nigeria. It takes almost everything from you. You lose your sanity sometimes. You don't have any hiding place. You don't have any hiding place. You are insulted by people who ordinarily cannot talk to you. The average Nigerian fan don't want process. I went to Spain in 2016, sponsored by La Liga alongside some other club chairman and of course the league. And one of the things I learned was at Valencia. We're in Valencia, where we were told that Valencia as a club said, don't go to the new camp wanting to beat Barcelona. They don't go to the Estadio Bernabeu wanting to beat Real Madrid. They go there happy to play the big boys and part of the TV, monies that will come. But if they win, they will celebrate. It's
a plus.
But in Nigeria, Sporting Lagos must go to Aba and beat Enyimba. That's the thinking of the average Nigerian fan. We will get there. Rome was not built in a day. But don't forget, Rome was also not destroyed in a day.
Okay, incredible stuff. Now let's just wrap it up because I could talk to you for hours, to be honest. There's a massive fan base, organic I should add, whereby Sporting Lagos is becoming the team of Lagos. And for many years, as a matter of fact, for my generation growing up as a young kid up till now, I'm a man, there was no football team representing Lagos, to be honest, that I could be proud of. We had Julius Berger, but that didn't go too well. Stationary stores was way before my generation, before I was born. So I've not had any team representing Lagos in the Npfl. And then when Sporting Lagos came around, I was like, okay, as a young man that lives in Lagos, maybe this can be my team. Maybe my child can be a fan of Sporting Lagos. Of course, my parents are from Abia State. I love Enyimba, but this is where I was born. I've grown up here all my life. So when you have your organic fan base growing also across West Africa, how would you rate this season in terms of where Sporting Lagos has gotten to, in terms of your position, and the realities, like you mentioned, of being a football club in Nigeria's top division? And then again, final note, what does the future hold you? I know you mentioned the long-term project, but we are seeing bringing CAF Champions League football down to Lagos. So what is the experience with your organic fan base and the future for Sporting Lagos?
It's been massive, I tell you, and credit must go to the media team at Sporting Lagos. I must give that to them. And also the owner of Sporting Lagos, Shola Akinlade, Ekeneago, Norma, Fola, all of them, they've been wonderful. If you know what Sporting Lagos puts into playing a game, I mean, days before the game, they set up everything all together, making sure that you put the club in the faces of those who should follow. I tell you one thing that beats me all the time. Sporting Lagos is playing at home. We are losing. And you find the young football fans, well, maybe not football fans,
young fans,
young fans who came there, jumping up and excited. So it means that they don't even care about the result. They've come to have fun.
Yeah.
God, I never thought that a time will come that the young Nigerian fan, or the young Nigerian, they don't have to be football fans, will leave the cinemas, leave the movies, and come watch football.
True.
Sporting Lagos, weekend games. There's fun from start to finish. At the end of the game, win or draw, there's the after party that sometimes will last till about 10 p.m. You find barbecue, you find everything you can think of. The DJ is doing his job and what have you, replicating what we've always talked about out there. So what beats me, like I said, the most important aspect is to see a fan jumping up, even though we're drawing. I am dying.
As a chairman.
I'm like, wow, a draw, I don't want draw. And the young lady is jumping up right there, is having fun. There are selfies everywhere. That's what, blows me away about Sporting Lagos. And the consistency, the belief of management. Shola will tell you, he will say, Chairman, no problem. You know that this project is a generational project. That's what he calls it. He says it's a generational project. That he wants a project that will outlive him in the next 100 years. That it is not about jumping queue. That he wants to take it a step at a time. But he knows that Sporting Lagos will play in the CAF Champions League. That is his dream. He wants to play even beyond Africa. It's a very tall dream for a young man who is in his 30s. I mean, like, hey, can this happen? Then you find people pay so much money. You have the boxes where they stay. He comes with his friends. They're not actually watching football. They're having business meetings. They're having the best of church wines. They're having good food. If they have an opportunity, just glance at the game and they continue. You walk in there, it's AC tight. There's a big screen. And I'm like, am I living in Nigeria? Am I part of this revolution? These are some of the things I put together every day after a game, and I say to myself, thank God.
Like I said, this has been an incredible podcast episode. We wish we could actually have more, and I'm sure the viewers at home will be like, we need more. We need to even get you back again to talk more about the Nigerian Professional Football League, Sporting League, and of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But thank you so much for your time, sir. I know you're a very busy man. Really appreciate you for being a part of the Super Eagles Watch podcast.
Thank you so very much, and I want to say thank you to everyone behind this.
We have some great men.
I know that anything that comes from all sport, it's always the best.
It was a pleasure, sir. Now, remember, guys, you can be a part of this conversation. It doesn't have to end with this episode. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Do not forget to subscribe and even go a step further. Press that notification button so you know when our videos drop on YouTube. Please subscribe. I keep saying this. That will show us that you truly love the Super Eagles of Nigeria. My name is Victor Godfrey. Until next time, I say this. Be good, be safe, keep it good as a Super Eagles fan. It is bye from us and bye for now.